I just think it was just part of the journey. Maybe in some way, because we were competing for a championship at that time, maybe in some way, there was that mindset of winning that championship game and what does it take? And maybe in some way, but we haven't talked about it a lot, but maybe indirectly it has had some good effect there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Number one, what contributes to that? Could be everything from fatigue to just, mentally preparing, physically preparing. Each individual's different from that standpoint. But I think from what has to change. I mean, obviously there's a sense of urgency. When you're in an elimination game, your back's against the wall. It's desperate. You're desperate, and you got to play like you're desperate. All the hustle plays, all the loose balls. Certainly, there are going to be miscues and mistakes in communication and execution at times. There just can't be as many, and there certainly can't be miscues in competitive effort and hustle plays, and you got to win those.
Ben, go ahead.
Is there something that you guys need to do differently to get better looks or last 2 games? Lights tired, or just falling win?
Yeah, I think she got some good looks. They were short. So obviously with Ty coming back from injury, there's been more minutes for Marina and different kinds of minutes, right? It's different when you're running the floor and you're playing a lot off ball than when you're being pressured 94 feet. The physicality, that they're playing with her, all of those things wear on you. Sometimes it causes you to rush your shot a little bit. I think the biggest thing is just, she's not a player who I expect to have back-to-back games of not shooting the ball really well, but trying to get her off the ball a little bit more, trying to free her up a little bit in that way. And hopefully continuing to work Ty back into the rotation.
Julian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of that is just confidence, I think, in how she feels and movement patterns, and certainly when you're coming back from an injury like that, lateral movement is different than just getting up and down the floor, and the margin for error is smaller, right? Like you're not playing through probably as much as you would in a regular season, especially in an elimination game. But again, I thought she looked really good in practice the other day. She's continued to progress and look really good. And, we need her to be out there. We need her to take shots for us. We need her to be a shot maker for us. We need her to be a solid defender for us. So she's got to be in the rotation.
What would your ideal as a coach's schedule be for the playoffs? Since you're playing every other day, if you win today, you play on Tuesday, and then that play seems pretty
tight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's probably never a perfect scenario. But certainly I think the one day between the semifinals and the finals is that seems tight to me. But you do want to get a bad taste out of your mouth quickly. Having a day in between. And it also depends on the team, right? Like if you have a team that you got a lot of depth, you don't mind playing quickly, every other day. If you have a team that's short rotation, coming back from injury, things like that, it's nice to have a couple of days to rest, recover. So it does kind of depend on the team and in each situation.
Follow up into you wear 2 hats of
yeah
media. If you do go 5, the series goes 5, and you said there's no time between the finals.
Mm-hmm.
As a media person, that can't be good for the league to have no time.
Trying to get me in trouble, Doug.
It says media person.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you think about the timing of when the games are going to be, and being able to not just get back and get prepared and rest and recovered, but being able to, all the other obligations that come with being in the finals. I think in an ideal scenario, you're talking about at least a couple of days. The 1 day turnaround, I don't think that's good for anybody. Certainly, if I'm looking at it from a media perspective, I'm like, geez, you'd certainly want at least 2. Who are you saying? Okay. Mhm. I think a lot has to come from the players on the floor. We can certainly draw up some situational things, but when you're playing in a series, and particularly when you're playing a really good, well-coached team, they're going to make changes, especially after timeouts, and they're going to make changes throughout the course of the game. And players have to be able to read that and think about the different actions or sets or spacing that we might need to be able to combat those changes. So I think being able to take some ownership of that on the floor and being able to get a good feel and read of what they feel like can work and what can't work is important.
What are your expectations from the one position for the team tonight? What do you hope for them to be able to accomplish tonight? You guys to be able to win?
From which position? The point guard. To be able to get us into offense, certainly. To be able to get us into offense in a position that we can be successful. Minnesota's done a really good job of pushing us out the 3 and 4 feet beyond the 3-point line, keeping us out of our rhythm and timing. But it's not just going to be one person, right? Like, we have multiple people that are going to bring the ball down the floor, multiple people who are going to initiate offense. So the other thing is pace. Off of makes, off of misses. Like, we have to push the ball down the floor. We are not finding a lot of success when we walk it down. Even if we push it and we don't like what we have, it at least gives us a better opportunity through a drag, through a double drag, that now we're running offense where we want to run it, as opposed to closer to half court. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, she's been waiting on me, to give her those moments. And we had talked prior to the game, and we missed a chance the game prior. We had every intention of Dorka playing in whatever game that was. And so, yeah, just kind of following through on that. So she was ready for her time. And obviously it is important to us. It's important to any team to have production from their bench. And obviously it came at a good time for us.
And then Smith, another 3-block game for her. You've talked about her rim protection all season long, but in this series, it feels like the block shots category has really gone your guys' way. Just how I guess satisfied or happy have you been with the way that the bigs have?
Yeah, I mean, Lan, is exactly what she does. We talk about her way. She's going to make you earn position in the post, and she's going to be smart. She understands individual tendencies, and she really competes all the way through possession. And sometimes you got to live with some of the what we call the cheap fouls, or that you just prefer that we not do. But then also, if you have more concerned about that, then you may not get the stuff that works out probably more times than not. And so she's been very impactful. There's no question about it. Our defense isn't as good without Lan out there doing those things.
Hey, Cheryl, I'm curious, since you've played in zillions of these playoffs now in your career, what do you like timing between games? Do you like the sort of one day in between? Would you have a couple days? Like, it seems pretty tight. I mean, you played Friday today. If you happen to lose today, you play Tuesday, and then if you make the finals, it's 2 days later, which seems like it's a really compact stretch versus maybe having an extra day to practice, prep, whatever it may be.
Yeah. It depends on, do we win or do we lose? If you lose, you want to play right away. I think it's hard to have that taste in your mouth for so long. But I think, ultimately it really doesn't matter. TV decides everything. And, whatever, it's true for the NBA as well, whether it's the time of game, long in between, the footprint of our season, all the things that we deal with there. So ultimately really doesn't matter. I mean, if you're looking for something to write about, I think players at this point want to play, and days in between means you have to put them on the floor to practice, and they really don't want to.
How, if at all, did the Commissioner's Cup and you guys participating in that and winning that prepare you guys for this, I guess, this playoff run or this moment in particular, knowing the stakes of this game?
I'm not sure if I know that it did or didn't. I just think it was just part of the journey. Maybe in some way, because we were competing for a championship at that time, maybe in some way, there was that mindset of winning that championship game and what does it take? And maybe in some way, but we haven't talked about it a lot, but maybe indirectly it has had some good effect there.
Just out of curiosity, as you guys have been on this run, and I know you have a former player of yours on your staff, so you see back every day, but have people from the people hanging in the rafters, they've been getting in contact with you throughout this run?
Yeah, they're always in touch. I hear from Sil almost every game, if not every game, either before, sometimes during. I get to open a phone to a commentary. I always enjoy that. And, of course, Wei, such a huge sports fan, and, she's always locked in. And so it's fun. I think when we had that Maya's retirement ceremony and that weekend, I think that was really cool for all of them, for this team to be doing as well as it was at that time and is. It's sort of brought a connection that is really neat, and I suspect that all of them are watching.
Just following up there. So is Sil like texting you like you got to tell them to box out more, or why you running this? Or
No,
what,
you
like,
would
what's
think
she
she,
writing?
I mean, there's sometimes some expletives. You know, I'm usually responding back, we got to box out more, any shot at a 7-day, those are usually the things we talk about. No, and she's a big fan of this team, and, obviously continues to have, a connection and input. When she's here, she's around a lot. She's a big fan. She's always been a positive person. And so that's the space she lives in.
Courtney was talking this morning about that one play Fee had where it was almost like a double step through
Yeah.
after the pick and roll.
Yeah.
And went back and watched it, just the footwork. I mean,
Yeah.
I know she's gotten better every year, but to whom, other than her, would you credit most of the work for the polishing of her footwork inside?
And that's probably a Fee question because, what they do in the off season and who they want to give credit to, I'm not sure. Obviously Fee, she does things in the moment that are just natural to her. I don't necessarily know. She might say, hey, Ken, I've never worked on that. It just is what was called for in that moment. But her footwork and, like you said, her poise and things like that. And, she spends a lot of time working on her game, but let's let her sort of figure out who gets credit.
Any final questions?
You wish still happy birthday today?
I did. Yeah. Happy birthday, Sylvia Faust.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Yeah.